defending mediocrity in our profession. So we're talking today about not musculoskeletal hygiene, but staying in your lane athletically, staying in your lane in terms of your exercise, staying in your lane in terms of your activity, and what that really means, why that's such a big problem for people, and what we can do to kind of correct that and to really understand what lane you're supposed to be in so that you can reduce your injury risk. It doesn't mean you shouldn't push yourself, but at the same time, you really have to ask the question of why. So that's what we're talking about today on the podcast. This is the Dr. Krol PT and Fitness Podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Dr. Lee Krol, physical therapist, as you all know by now. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, take a little second right now, hit that like, hit that thumbs up, share it, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you get all the notifications when I release new content. Hit my Instagram page at Perform Rehab Train. Check out my content on there. I put a whole bunch of stuff on there, like Explore Western New York, Explore the World, where I show different things from different waterfalls and trips that I take. So feel free to check out all of that on Instagram. I post quite a bit of stuff on there. But check out the podcast on YouTube. If you haven't already checked out more of the material than just what you're seeing today, go ahead and do that. I really appreciate it. But like it, subscribe, share. That's really the biggest things you can do to help out my channel and help me out if you enjoy the content. So again, today what we're talking about is staying in your lane. And there's a Kevin Hart skit a long time ago, probably 6-7 years ago at this point, where he talks about going out with, I believe it's a basketball player, and hanging out with one of the basketball players. And he said he can't do that anymore because he has to stay in his financial lane. He cannot keep up with this basketball player financially, so he really shouldn't hang out with this guy because he can't, he has to stay in his lane. He can't really afford to do the things that this basketball player is doing. And we all have a lane that we have to stay in every role of our life, whether it's a financial lane, an athletic lane, whatever it is, we have to stay in our lane. And if we go outside of our lane, we run the risk of injury, damage, problems, embarrassment, whatever the case may be. So I have an athletic lane. So if we take me personally, I have an athletic lane and I try to stay in it as best I can. So one of the activities I like doing is Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But I am a casual Brazilian Jiu Jitsu practitioner. I don't practice 6-7 days a week. I practice 1, maybe 2 days a week, depending on when I can get my time with Caveman, depending on when I can get on the mats with his classes. And I really enjoy doing it, but my goal is not to be an elite level practitioner. That's not my aim, that's not what I'm trying to do. I just enjoy doing it, so I practice with some frequency. And again, I'm a casual Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. So what does that mean? That means I have a lane that I have to stay in. If I see a bunch of 20-year-old tournament guys going at it on the mat, going full speed, that's not my lane. I can go in there and roll with them, but the likelihood that I'm now going to get injured goes way up. And I have to go to work tomorrow. I have to be able to take care of my patients and do the things that I have to do. So one thing that I really don't want to have happen is to get an avoidable injury because I stepped out of my athletic lane, because I stepped out of my activity lane. I have to know what is my activity lane. So when it comes to that activity, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of the things I had to do is I had to step back and do some reflection and ask the big question, the hardest question of all, why? Why am I doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Am I doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to be a high-level practitioner? Am I doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to be a tournament practitioner? Am I doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just to be good enough to defend myself against a random knucklehead I may ever run into on the street? And really, that's what I'm looking to do. I have a pretty set goal that I want to be able to defend myself and take care of myself. Again, if I ever run into some knucklehead on a keyboard warrior that wants to throw down outside, or just someone who steps to me, I want to be able to take care of them within reason. I'm not going to beat 6 guys at the same time, but I want to be able to take care of myself and not be afraid to walk around, not be afraid when someone a little bigger, a little stronger, a little heftier gets in my face and gives me the business. I'm not worried about them. I can handle them. That's all I've ever wanted, and being a casual jiu-jitsu guy will do that for me. Most people don't train. Most people don't do anything. So they're just brawlers. So if you're trained, your likelihood of defeating them is going to go way up. So that's really all I've ever wanted. I don't care if I ever do a tournament. I don't care if I ever do whatever, in terms of high-level practitioner. I just train casually. So that's where I stay. I stay in my lane. I stay in that casual lane. I don't roll with people who are really going 110 miles an hour and, training for tournaments or training for high-level practice. That's not what I do. So I found people, and I found an instructor who understands where I'm at, not financially, but where I'm at athletically and where I'm at in terms of my goals, and works at me at that level, and that's fine. I can try to change that lane. You can always try to change what lane you're in, up or down. Sometimes the lane will be changed for you, usually down. But, this is the lane I'm in, and really the question is why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you partaking in the activity that you're partaking in? So one of the things I run into as a physical therapist is I run into people that get injuries. I see it all the time. And one of the big reasons that people get injured is they stray from their athletic lane, or they're too far outside of their activity lane, and they haven't taken the time to really step back and ask why they're doing something. I work with people who are runners, and one of the things I will ask these individuals is, why are you running 50 miles a week? It's not that running 50 miles a week is inherently bad, but why are you doing it when your body is clearly telling you that this is too high of a dosage? Why are you doing this? Maybe we can knock back some of the mileage and do something else that will actually make you a better runner, make you a more efficient runner, but it's not running. Maybe we can introduce an off season. Maybe we can take, you're running 5 days a week, maybe we can take 2 of those days and do something else. Again, something that's going to allow you to recover appropriately, but work on motor patterns that'll actually make you a better and more efficient runner, or reduce some of the effects, the pounding effects that running is going to have on your body. Why don't we do that? Overwhelmingly, I lose that battle. Overwhelmingly, people don't want to hear it. They just want to run. They're so tied up with their numbers. I want to run at this pace. I want to run this many miles. I want to do this. I want to do that. But they can't answer the question of why. Why are you doing this? Are you a professional? Are you getting paid to run? Well, no. Okay. What do you get for running all these events? What do you get for running 50 miles a week? What happens at 50 miles a week? Does a parade go off? Do you get some sort of celebration? No, I just want to do it. So you arbitrarily pick the number 50 or 60 or 40 or whatever it was out of the air, and that's what you want to keep up throughout the week. Or you read on a runner's blog that you should be doing this, or you read this. And again, these are just guidelines. These numbers are arbitrarily pulled out of the air. 50 miles, 60 miles, 10 miles, whatever. What I always try to have people do is, why are you doing this? Let's figure this out first. Do you just enjoy running? If you do, fine. Let's run. It's not a big deal. As long as running is not inherently bad for your body, then I'm okay with it. I think running's functional. I think you should be able to run because things start on fire. You have to chase things and things chase you. So you should be able to increase your speed for a certain distance. Now, what that distance is functionally, we could argue about it till the end of time. I would argue it's somewhere in the realm of a mile to a mile and a half you should be able to run. Everybody should. But I would also argue that 26.2 is probably too much. You should probably just run to your car. So, we can argue about the numbers. The numbers are not important, but you should be able to run to some degree. But again, you want to run, that's fine. Now let's find the dosage that your body will tolerate running pretty well. Or let's find the surface your body will tolerate well. Let's find the type of running. Maybe it's a minimalist running. Maybe it's trail running. Maybe it's soft surface running. Maybe you can tolerate running on pavement for 20 miles a week and your body does pretty well with it. But if you're trying to do 30 miles a week, but you have no reason to do 30 miles a week, you have no goal that's in mind where, okay, I have to do 30 miles a week, I have to do this for this training paradigm, or I'm training for this event and it requires this. If you don't have that, then why are you beating yourself up when your body is clearly rejecting it and you're running into having to ice all the time or tape all the time or take over-the-counter NSAIDs all the time? If that's the case, then that is your body rejecting this and you are drifting out of your activity lane. You're not staying in your activity lane, which will end you up right on a treatment table or having to do cupping all the time or in the chiropractor's office all the time for treatment just to function instead of just to kind of clean you up and have maintenance. So you really want to start by asking that question, why? Why am I doing this? Why are you jumping up and down off the 24-inch plyo box? What are you trying to accomplish with that? And when I ask people these type of questions, they don't have great answers. Really, the default answer is, well, it's a good way to stay in shape. It's a good way to challenge myself and to work harder. Okay, great. I have no problem with you challenging yourself. I have no problem with you working harder. But if you've never done jumping before, have you worked on jump training? Have you had someone look at you to make sure that, hey, when you do this jumping, are you running into this problem? I've seen countless videos of people who look great. They look like they're in good shape. People I know, people I don't know. They're showing all these videos because Instagram is a place where you post, hey, this is what I've done. Cool, it's fine. But I'll see people that are posting videos, they're jumping and their knees go, whoa, they cave right in. Either at the beginning, at the end, anytime they land, anytime they push off, they're having all sorts of problems. And I look at this and again, I can't turn the PT off in me. I see, wow, this person is really setting themselves up for injury. Or I see a person who's really pushing themselves past where they can still have good form, and then they're doing extra reps of jumping or extra reps of this or that, and I see the form breaking down and I see the mechanical issues popping up, and I'm like, again, what are you doing that for? Are you training for the Olympics? Are you on a sports team? Are you doing this for a particular reason because you have to train to be at this level to do this competition? If the answer for all of that is no, then again, I ask the question, why are you doing this? Why are you going past this lane that you're in right now? You're in this lane right here athletically. Why are you training here if you're not trying to change your lane for a reason? And again, this is not to dissuade people from challenging themselves and pushing themselves a bit harder. That's okay. But again, there's an injury risk and there's a reward. You have to find out what the risk-reward ratio is. If the reward is just, I feel good doing it, or I want to post this on Instagram, I would argue that's probably not enough of a reward to risk blowing out an ACL, re-spraining an ankle, tearing ligaments in the ankle, damaging bones, maybe getting an avulsion fracture somewhere. I would argue that it's not worth that risk. If you're training for an event, like, hey, I play soccer at this high level, this is why I push myself so hard, okay, that's fine. You play at a very high level, you have a goal in mind, you have something that you do at a high level and do it very well. Hey, I'm a tournament Jiu Jitsu competitor, this is why I push myself this hard. Fine, you have a goal. You're going into these tournaments, you're trying to train at this tournament level. If you find that training at this tournament level just does not work for your body, then that's a different discussion. But you have a goal in mind. If your goal is just, I want to be in a little bit better shape, this is why I jump up and down poorly on these plyo boxes, I'm going to argue that you're drifting outside of your athletic lane. And a lot of injuries that I see in my clinic are people that drift outside their athletic lane and they get dinged for it. They're jumping up and down on things they shouldn't be jumping up and down on. They're running distances they shouldn't be running or haven't trained appropriately to run. So again, why are you doing this? I see people taping themselves up all over the place because they ran a marathon out of the blue. Like, hey, I just wanted to run this. Okay, but was it worth the injury? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. But really, one of the big things I will ask all of you to do is take a step back from your activities and always ask the question, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I running this far? Why am I training this hard? Why am I training this way? What is the end goal? Define your end goal. Now, there's going to be someone that's going to listen to this and say, whoa, hold on a second. I'm going to go back to one of your other podcasts, and you said that activity is hygienic and we shouldn't have an end goal, just like dentistry doesn't have an end goal. We brush our teeth not to make our teeth whiter all the time, or whiter than they were the day before. We brush our teeth so they don't hurt, and now you're telling me I shouldn't be doing this stuff because there's a risk of getting injured. You told me this is hygienic. No. Basic activity is hygienic. Basic musculoskeletal hygiene, which is a 2 to 5 minute routine a couple times a day to keep your joints moving the way they should, that's hygienic. Going for walks, that is hygienic. Taking the stairs, that is hygienic. Just doing a little bit of basic exercise, that is hygienic. A stretching routine is hygienic. A basic yoga routine is hygienic. But going to a yoga in the park and doing, handstands that are outside of your realm that you haven't trained for, that's not hygienic. Going and running a 26.2 mile marathon is not hygienic. So don't get the two confused. Stay in your lane athletically, stay in your lane activity-wise. Again, and your lane is determined by how you're training, how you're eating, how you're sleeping, your overall health, your age. Factors like that will help determine your activity lane. And you can change that lane. That lane will change over time as well. Your athletic lane is up here when you're 20, and it drops down to about here when you're 50. Now, everybody's a little bit different in how high it drops off, but that's what happens. Your athletic lane will change, and your activity level will change. Your activity lane, I should say, will change over time depending on those factors. Previous injuries is also one that will change your athletic and activity lane. But again, take the time, ask the question why, pull yourself back. Why am I doing this? Why am I going into this event? Why am I doing this activity? Always ask the question of why, and for God's sakes, get a good trainer. Get someone who's going to quarterback your activity. Get someone who is going to know when to push you, know when to back off, know when to have those conversations, and is really putting your health first. Not your success, your health, because your health is going to determine your success as a human being going forward. And that health will include your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. All those things are at the base. I see people who have great success at the skill level or the athletic level, but are completely unhappy all the time. There are people who are, they're showing off pictures online of how good they look in the mirror and, oh, this dress fits great. And then I see them behind the scenes and I talk to them. They're completely miserable eating the way they're eating. They're completely miserable doing what they're doing. They don't feel good overall. They're not moving around very well. It's a big chore to get up in the morning. Going up and down stairs is grunting and groaning. But they look good in that picture on Instagram, so that's success, right? No, you want to have the trainer, you want to have the therapist who's working with you to make sure that the base of your pyramid, which is health, is good. So always pull yourself back, ask those questions of why, get the right people working with you to make sure you stay healthy first. All right, that's my spiel on that. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe. I'm Dr. Lee Krol for the Dr. Krol PT and Fitness Podcast, signing off, and I will see you next time.